Hey, my name's Faye.
My name is Asiel.
Hey, my name's Margot.
I'm Aziz.
I'm Kahava.
Eric.
And my pronouns are they, them.
My pronouns are they, them.
They, them.
They, them.
My pronouns are she, her.
My pronouns are he, him. And I'm trans.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now that we've come out to you, you know a few more trans people.
It's nice to meet you.
Here are some tips when someone comes out to you as trans.
Whether you're the first person to be told or the 100th.
Coming out is always a personal process.
Some trans people choose to be very out, like us in this video.
We're advocates and we have chosen to educate.
But not everyone feels comfortable or safe to do that.
And most people don't want to answer questions about who they are when they're out in the world.
There are heaps of ways someone might come out to you.
They could tell you their gender identity in person.
Come out on Facebook, which is what I did.
Or screaming from the roof, I am trans!
Unfortunately, we still live in a world where not everyone's accepting of trans people.
If someone comes out to you, but you're not sure who else knows.
Or whether it's okay to talk about it with other people.
Check in with them first.
Respect the person's privacy and let them have ownership over their own coming out process.
So they can do it at a pace that they feel comfortable with.
Names and pronouns can represent a big part of who we are.
When a person uses our correct name and pronouns, especially early on,
It can be a really awesome and validating experience.
It makes me feel respected.
I feel like my identity is being affirmed.
I feel like they've understood where I'm coming from and they understand, who I am as a person.
it's just giving me the same respect and kindness that you give to anyone else.
It's actually just fundamentally correct. That's my name. Those are my pronouns. It's who I am.
If you're cisgender, introducing your pronouns when you introduce yourself is a really awesome way.
To make trans people feeling comfortable doing the same.
If you're introducing your pronouns, say the words themselves.
Avoid saying things like male pronouns or my pronouns are obvious.
Because some trans people might identify similarly to you or look similar, but use different pronouns.
People sometimes get curious about the past when they meet a trans person.
They might ask things like,
What do you look like?
Or what was your birth name?
These questions can feel quite invasive, and not everyone will feel comfortable answering them.
some trans people can gain a real sense of empowerment by sharing our stories.
And posting things like progress photos of our transition.
But what's important is
It's on our terms.
The names we choose for ourselves as trans people are our real names, not any name given to us in the past. Our past name isn't something anyone else needs to know unless we choose to tell them.
When talking about a trans person, even in past tense, use their current name and pronouns.
having my friends and a lot of people around me use my correct pronouns is really great. And it's just like, it's normal now. It's not something that has to be thought about.
When I heard someone use my correct name and pronouns for the first time, it felt like I was flying. It was the best feeling ever.
I felt like I could finally let someone know, and that person really understood where I was coming from.
It made it clear that they were still treating me with the same kind of decency and acknowledgement that they treated me before they knew I was trans.
I think a really important moment for me was going to synagogue for the first time with my family after I'd come out. And my mum started introducing me not just as Margot and not just using she, her pronouns, but as her daughter to the rest of the congregation. And that was really cool and really exciting for me. It was a huge step forward.
Trans people come in all shapes and sizes, and we can be as diverse and unique as anyone else.
How you look, how you act, and what feels most authentically you.
It's a really individual thing.
That's true whether you're trans or cis.
It's not really possible to tell someone's identity just by looking at them.
Expecting all trans girls to be super Fool. Feminine. Wait, like the Nemo anemone thing? Feminine. Expecting all trans girls to be super feminine.
All trans guys will be super masculine.
Or that all non-binary people will be super androgynous.
Is actually pretty different from the reality.
Two trans people that identify similarly
Might express their identities in completely different ways. And that's pretty awesome.
People can sometimes make assumptions like, I've never met a trans person.
Or I could never date a trans person.
But how do we know that?
These don't take into account that a lot of the time, you might have someone in your life that's trans and you may never know it.
All the more reason to educate yourself and be inclusive.
Sometimes people can say things like,
You're so pretty for a trans person.
Oh, whoa, I never know that you're trans.
Stuff like that is usually totally innocent and meant in a good way.
But it actually implies that you expect trans people to look a certain way.
how a trans person looks or what sort of transition goals they might have.
Or even the sort of person they'll be is different for everyone.
Trans people are just as diverse and unique as anyone else.
And making assumptions about trans people can make it feel for us like there's a certain way we have to be.
So letting trans people shape our own identities is really important. When you meet a trans person for the first time, it's natural to be curious and to have questions.
Just don't make things uncomfortable.
Imagine if someone came up to you and asked,
So, what's between your legs?
No.
No!
yeah, that's actually happened.
It's an easy mistake to make and usually unintentional.
But sometimes people feel like they have a right to ask trans people questions.
They never dream of asking cis people.
And when you're on the receiving end, that doesn't exactly feel great.
Questions about our bodies, medical history, relationships, that's all personal stuff.
So someone being trans doesn't make it automatically okay to discuss.
A good rule is to think about how well you know the person.
And whether you'd ask a cis person that same question.
If you're still not sure, ask if they're okay discussing a topic before you ask specific questions.
For example, just ask, are questions about your transition okay? Before you ask about someone's transition. It can be that simple. If you do make a mistake, it's not great, but it does happen.
Wrongly stating or assuming a person's gender is called misgendering.
And using a person's old name when they've provided you with a new one is called dead naming.
If you get it wrong, try not to get defensive.
The best thing to do is say a quick sorry, correct yourself, and move on.
For trans people, sometimes we get misgendered a lot, and you might not even realize it.
But you could be the 10th person that misgendered them that day.
So if a trans person gets upset or loses their temper, try to be understanding.
But when people do get it right, it's a really great feeling.
It makes us feel safe and included, and can be validating too.
If you don't know someone's pronouns, use the pronouns they, them until you have an opportunity to ask.
It's a gender neutral option and it helps avoid assumptions.
If you are going to ask a trans person their pronouns, make sure you do it discreetly or privately to avoid outing them. And once someone tells you there's pronouns that they prefer, use those.
So that's that.
Picking these stuff up is a great way to make it easier for trans and gender diverse people around you.
And that's pretty awesome. Check out our next video on how to be a good ally to trans people.
And if you want to know more, check out the rest of Trans 101.
Full of even more awesome info on gender diversity. Bye!